Welcome to the PewterCast. This is the InstantCast for the Bucks versus the Bears, which was played here on November 13th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And if you don't know by now, the Bucks hammered the Bears, beating them, 35-10 or something like that. Wow, it was a fun game to watch if you're a Bucks fan. Had a little bit of a different feel to it, had a little bit of a different tone, a different vibe. Especially for one that had such a large margin of scoring towards the end, with being that you would have thought that it would have just been a bloodbath. I didn't really think it was that much of a bloodbath, but hey, listen, we still came out, and the score is what it was. And this one's going down as a W on the year. We're now at 4-5. We are at 1-0 on the third quarter of the season, guys. Which is pretty good. That's all I can ask for as we start the third quarter, is that we be 1-0. I want to say welcome to everyone who is listening live at Mixlr. It's mixlr.com/thepewtercast. For those of you who don't know, what the InstantCast is a show where we get to watch the game, and instead of waiting a whole bunch of days where we put together a main show and kind of let things simmer and listen to all the news reports and the press conferences and hear what everybody's saying and go back and watch game film and study, this show is just about our initial reaction. That's what this show is all about. And historically, it's really just been me on a microphone just kind of talking about my initial reaction. I've not had any guests on this show like I typically do on a main show. We've not done any of that. However, we're changing it up. And what we're doing is we're saying at 10 o'clock on Sunday nights, unless there's like a weird Thursday night game or Monday game, or maybe even it's a late, like an 8 o'clock. I don't know if we have any 8 o'clock Sunday night games coming up. I'd have to check. But, we might shift it for something like that. But other than that, 10 o'clock on Sunday nights, it's our instant cast. And not only is it me talking into a microphone, this is going to be a live show where you guys, the fans, can tune in. You can listen live. I've got a few people over in the chat room right now, a handful of people that are listening, so welcome to all of you guys that are over there. And you guys will be able to listen live, and not only listen live, but you can call in and talk to me about the game. You can give me your initial reaction. What did you think of the game? Do you want to talk about something? Did you like something? Did you not like something? Were you impressed? Were you not impressed? What is it that you guys want to talk about? This is your show. This is my show. This is our show together. And unlike some other shows, this isn't pre-recorded messages. Now, if you want to leave me a pre-recorded message, you don't think you're going to be able to make the 10 o'clock show, then you can still call the number and leave me a voicemail. Or you can make a voice recording on your phone and email it in to thepewtercast@gmail.com. But the number, if you guys want to call in, the number is 843-633-BUCKS. That's 843-633-2827. Please remember, guys, we do try to keep the show PG-13. Do not call me with an expletive-laden diatribe on something, but if you want to have a good conversation about your initial reaction of what's happening with the Bucks from today's game, I'd really love to talk to you. So you guys can call me. Phone lines are open right now if you want to call. I've got some people in the chat room right now saying, fire Dotson. Oh, we're going to get to talking about Dotson in today's show. And we'll probably be talking about Dotson in the main show as well. But hey, if you want to call and talk to me about DeMar Dotson, please feel free to give me a call. Again, that number is 843-633-2827. It's 843-633-2827. I'd love to talk with you about that. I got to make sure that actually I have the phone line up so that you guys can call in for us. But until you guys do, a couple of you guys, feel free, like I say, call me, and we'll talk to you. But until you do that, I've got my notes for the show for today, so I'm just going to kind of start going through that. But we can talk about anything you guys want to talk about. You want to talk about Mike Evans and his new bringing the protest to Tampa Bay. Wow, how do you feel about that, Bucks fans? I don't know. I don't know if they just refused to show him on TV. I don't know. I think like most fans, whenever I get to see the national anthem on TV, my eyes are now shooting towards the sideline to see if anybody's kneeling or standing or has a fist raised in the air. Honestly, not because I'm 100% against the protest. I just want to see if it's happening. Like, is it happening in this game? And so far, it has not been something that we have had to deal with until this particular week. And so Mike Evans has chosen to not to what does he say? He's not standing, he is sitting, or he's sitting, he's not sitting, he's just not standing, which there's a difference between the two of those. But his is not necessarily the same as Kaepernick's. His is just in protest of Donald Trump being elected the president, and or president-elect, whatever we call that. Which the Bucs have already released a statement. I saw that out on Twitter a few minutes ago. So I am not personally going to talk about this a whole lot because honestly, so many people are spending so much time talking about these kinds of things, talking about all these protests, and it just takes away from football. And we're really here to talk about football. And honestly, this week in particular, there's just been so much politics and so much of that I'm really just looking forward to not talking about that for a few hours and getting away from all of that. And that's what this is going to be. So, but if you want to talk about it, I'm glad to talk about it, but I'm not, that's going to be the last I say about it on this show. 843-633-BUCKS. It's 843-633-2827. All right, so let's talk about heading into this game. I got to let you guys know that I was not heading into this game with a lot of hype. I was not heading into this game with a big bag of popcorn and a fresh cold brew, and man, I'm excited to watch the Bucs go on and tear it up. I was kind of muted actually heading into this game. Like I came home this afternoon. And, I was probably about 30 minutes late into the game, which honestly, I like it that way because I get to fast forward through the commercials for pretty much the rest of the game at that point. I don't like it because I don't get to jump on Twitter and interact with you guys live as the game's going on. I have to stay away from that if I'm going to be on a delay. But I do like not having to sit through the commercials. That's always nice. So anyway, I get home and honestly, like even when I started watching the game, like, I just kind of started cleaning up my living room. Like I was, vacuuming up the dog hair that was on the couch and putting the couch cushions back and cleaning up the kids' toys. And I got the vacuum cleaner out and was vacuuming the floor all the while. And that was just kind of, that was what I did really towards the beginning of the game. Cause that's just really where I was at the front of this game. So that just full disclosure, that was kind of me heading into this game. Now that doesn't mean that I'm not supporting my Bucs. That doesn't mean that I don't have any hope for the game. That's not at all what that means. It just means I wasn't hype. Certainly that could be a result of having lost the last couple of games, going in with the Bears and then the Raiders, and oh my gosh, it was just such a weird couple of weeks that we had going on there. And so, yeah, like I said, probably just full disclosure on that whole thing for what we've got going on. Now, the Bucs come out, and of course, we kick it away because it means we're going to get the ball on second half, which I like that. I like getting the ball better in the second half. Just lets us come out, and regardless of how the first half ended, it lets us take control of the ball. But so we kick it away, and our first drive is on defense. And okay, let's pause. All right, let's talk about the overall game because we kind of have to take a look at the whole thing before we small this down. The Bucs played a very good game today. They played a pretty complete game. There was a lot of pass rushing that was working out really well, that worked in tandem with the secondary suddenly showed up, and the secondary was doing some work on defense. It didn't feel like there was any of these big miscommunication cues that we keep hearing about from Mike Smith, and they're changing signals at the line of scrimmage, and people have 1.4 seconds to know what the hell's going on. It felt like they were all on the same page this week. It felt like we were running some big plays. Last week, one of the things that I had said about the defense was it felt like they were being reactive instead of proactive. Like they were just getting set, waiting to see where the play was developing, and then running to the ball and tackling somebody rather than trying to make a play to confuse the offense. And it's just what it seemed. Now, I don't know I don't think that's what they were doing. I don't think that they would just sit back and be reactive. I'm just saying that's how it felt to me. That's all I was saying last week. This week is a completely different story. This week, I felt like they were finally getting out there. They were finally working. Rendax in the chat room says Mike Smith finally brought more than 4 on third down, and it worked. Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So overall, I think the defense had a good game. I think the offense certainly had a good game, much better than what we had seen in the last couple of games. Overall, they put some stuff together. Special teams did pretty well. I mean, holy crap, Roberto Aguayo didn't miss a kick. And the fact that I even have to say that makes me cringe a little bit. And hashtag I'm with 19. I'm with 19. I might get to this. It hurt my heart a little bit to see Connor Barth coming out. I don't think those colors look good on him at all. I really like Connor Barth. I mean, I really do. And when he came out for that first field goal, it was like a 50-something yarder, and I knew he was going to make it. I absolutely knew he was going to make it, and it just broke my little heart. It broke my happy little Buccaneer. When Connor Barth really endeared himself to me, those of you that are longtime listeners of the Pewtercast, you might remember this. It was last year when we had the debacle that was Kyle Brenza on the team, and Kyle Brenza had just missed like the 5th field goal inside of like 4 attempts. And I don't try to explain the math to me on that one. That's just what it was. He missed for the 5th time on 4 attempts, which is weird. And Connor Barth sends out this tweet saying, "Hey Bucks, I'm available for the right price." And sure enough, the next day they had Connor back down in Tampa and had signed him to a contract, and he played out the rest of the year and did not too bad. He certainly wasn't perfect, but hey, he did pretty dang good last year. So I miss Connor Barth, and I still have to go with hashtag I'm with 19. So anyway, special teams did pretty good. Offense, certainly, man, there were some great plays on offense tonight. Defense had some really good plays. So I want to just start this out by saying I thought this was a good game. However, I did not think that this was a complete game. Do you guys remember the Philadelphia game last year? The Philadelphia game where we just went in all 3 phases of football. We utterly destroyed them. We were swarming. We were all over the place. The offense couldn't do no wrong. There's my Southern coming out. That's my hillbilly talking right there. The offense couldn't do any wrong. It was such a complete game last year against Philadelphia. This one did not feel like that to me. Somebody please tell me I'm wrong on this, because I know if you go look at the numbers, they're going to tell me I'm wrong. I know if you look at the final score of the game, it's going to tell me I'm wrong. All of these things, I probably, when I go back and watch film later this week, it's going to tell me I'm wrong. But my initial response was it just didn't feel as swarming as all the numbers I think would tell us that it was. That's just how it felt. In the first drive on defense, for example, it just didn't feel like we could stop them. Yet they were running it, they were passing it, they were running it, they were passing it, and then I looked up and they were punting it. I was like, okay, cool. I didn't even know we got that far into the down count. I guess is that what you call it? The down count. So we stopped them, great, and forced them to bring out the punter. Awesome. It just didn't feel like we were coming up with huge stops. Does that make sense? Just didn't feel like that. So we do that. Jameis and crew comes out and they go 3 and out. And my thought was, as soon as that happened, was, here comes the defense before they can catch their breath. Defense comes out. And that's been a big problem, I think, for our defense, is we've not had them off the field long enough to catch their breath. And they go out, they had this drive where they just went through, and Rendax in the chat room says it just felt that way because we had a slow start. We absolutely did. Hey, noticing we have a couple new listeners in the chat room. Welcome to you guys. If you want to call in and talk about today's game, we'll talk about any aspect of the game you want to. Number is 843-633-BUCKS. That's 843-633-2827. Call in and we'll talk. But until then, so Jameis comes out, they go 3 and out, and I was just going, my God, here we go again. They're not going to let them catch their breath. By the time we get to third quarter, the defense is going to be sucking wind, and they're not going to be able to get much done. And it didn't even look like Anger got much distance on his punt. Maybe he did. Yeah, they were just so deep in the territory, so I guess maybe. And then we go out and the next drive that the Bears are playing, and I'm sorry, I'm not giving you guys a play-by-play of this game. That's really not what I'm just giving you kind of how the game started for me. The next drive, they get a couple of medium-sized plays, right? The Bears did, Cutler and crew, that they moved the ball down the field just a little bit. And then, guys, all of a sudden it turned on. Now, you guys know there is one player in particular on this team that I have repeatedly said is on my shit list. And for the first part of the season, he was on my shit list because he couldn't come up with a freaking interception. And here lately, he's really started to tiptoe back onto my shit list because he keeps slipping and sliding all over, like he's a kid in my backyard playing with my boy on the slip and slide that I got out there. And yeah, I'm talking about Brent Grimes. But you know what? In this one, he leaps up in the air. He comes up with an interception. And man, that sparked something on the team, didn't it? And I wrote him. I was like, yeah, that's my namesake. Yeah, Brent Grimes. And you know what? Here's the thing. I didn't see Brent Grimes slip one time this game. Now, the camera wasn't on him the entire game. I know that. Didn't have the camera on him the rest of it. Somebody in the chat room says the Bears had the ball for 10 minutes in the first quarter and 9 for the rest of the game. Is that true? Is that a true stat? Because if it is, that's fantastic. They had the ball for 10 minutes in the first quarter and for 9 the rest of the game. That means they had the ball for 19 minutes out of 60, which means we kept it, 41? Is my math on that right? Wow, that's if that stat's true, that's awesome. But man, that picked it up. And here's the thing. So we come back out and did we punt? Yeah, I think we punted it after that, but that's okay. So we have Evan Dietrich Smith, we had Evan Smith come out. Now he's filling in for Holly. Now you guys, you should all know my love and my affinity for Joe Holly and his beard. I might even have a full man crush. It's possible I just have a man crush on his beard. Maybe I don't know, but I love me some Joe Holly when he's in there, just getting gritty. And Evan Smith sure took his lumps from me as a fan for a couple years ago. I just did not think he was that great of a center. But I tell you what, I've really come to change my mind on Evan Smith in this last year. Really, yeah, I think in this last year. Really this last year. And here, I love Evan Smith on this team. I love having Evan Smith as our backup. I love having the stability of him, if he can be in any one of those 3 interior spots on the line. And if there's somebody that I want, if one of our starters goes down, then I am perfectly comfortable. It doesn't make me sweat at all. I'm glad to hand off the ball or that position to Evan Smith. It's Evan Smith. I mean, he's fantastic. Whether he's a guard on the left or right side, whether he's a center, he's great. I'm perfectly happy to send him there. And I'd still love to see Holly out there, and I still want to see Marpet out there, and I still want to see Kevin Pamphile. Though, hey, today, let's jump over there and just talk real quick. Caleb Beninock. All right, they corrected 13 minutes the rest of the game. 10 minutes in the first half, 13 minutes for the combined other 3 quarters. 10 minutes in the first quarter, 13 in the other 3 quarters. Wow, that's pretty phenomenal. That's still 23 minutes. Means we controlled the ball 37 minutes. Wow. Caleb Beninock getting his first NFL start. And as much as I love and respect Kevin Pamphile and I wish him speedy recovery and I want to see him back, I didn't miss him that much. At least I don't feel like I missed Kevin Pamphile that much. I mean, now we'll have to go back and I'll have to look and watch and see, because I got to tell you, the defensive line for the Bears got to Jameis quite a bit. There was a few too many times Jameis was back there running around or getting sacked. But it felt like Caleb Beninock did a pretty good job. It felt like it to me. EDS was coming in and he gets hurt. Oh, shit. Because now Joe Holly's down, and now Evan Smith is down. And in the last minute, last-ditch effort, somebody had the wisdom to call it Ben Gottschalk, which I was wondering. I had that thought kind of going into this game. If Evan goes down, who's going to be the backup center? Are they going to slide over Marpet? And then, maybe shuffle in someone. Like, I just didn't know exactly what they did. But Gottschalk came in, and he is the backup to the backup. And I was going, well, what's going to happen now? I mean, our O-line is hurt. Now, you guys should know, for our defensive line is back to healthy. Man, we've got now. It would be great to have Jacquez Smith back, maybe even Howard Jones. But the guys that we've brought in to replace them, plus everybody: Clint McDonald, Robert Ayers, Gerald McCoy, Will Goldston, Noah Spence, Akeem Spence. Like, we've got all our weapons back on defensive line. Awesome. Our offensive line is now hurt. We're down Pam Phil, we're down Joe Hawley, we're down EDS, and I don't know what the heck's going on with Dotson and Donovan Smith. We'll talk about them here in just a few minutes. Oh my word! The only consistent person we can really depend on right now, as it is right now, is Ali Marpet. But big props to Caleb Benenoch and Caleb Benenoch and Ben Gottschalk. Is that right? Yeah, I think Ben's his first name. But good night. O-line got hurt. And Jameis goes to throw a ball, and in like that first or second play that Gottschalk goes in, heads up play to him, to Gottschalk, for recovering the ball. Now, granted, it didn't matter because they said it had forward motion on it and different things like that. But still, as the play developed, he had enough sense about him to come off his tackle, to see a ball on the ground, and to fall on it and secure it. Even if it didn't matter, it mattered the fact that he could do that. So, hey, I love seeing him. I love seeing him do well coming in there. Now, still can't wait to see Evan Smith and Joe Hawley get better and get back on the team and get back out there. But, I thought Ben Gottschalk had a huge step up today, and Caleb Benenoch both. Okay, let's talk, while we're here talking about the offensive line, let's go ahead and talk about it, guys. Donovan Smith, DeMar Dotson. Any of you guys in the chat room want to call in and talk to me about these two guys? I know you guys were talking about it just a minute ago. I saw you guys talking about the contract year and stuff with Dotson. Somebody said, I think, fire Dotson. Guys, oh my word. Okay. I talked about this a little bit last week. Damn it, I saw Donovan Smith doing it again. Now, I only saw it once in this game. I'd be interested to go back and watch it again and just kind of watch him. But Donovan Smith, when he loses his man, when he gets beat by his man, Donovan Smith gives up the rest of the play. He just turns around and starts moseying. He's walking about as fast as my grandfather. My grandfather's 94 years old, and he's deaf and has zero balance. And Donovan Smith is just out there lumbering around. Like, dude, you miss your man. Now, I know he's gone and you're probably not catching up with him, but you better run after him because you just lost him. You don't let him stand you up, get around you, and then you just kind of go, oh, I'm going to go get, a cup of coffee. Can't do that. Can't do that. Donovan Smith, got your own radio show with Ali Marpet on Tuesday nights. By the way, guys, go listen to that. It's hilarious. Those guys are hilarious. Now, here's a question. All right, this is the only thing that gives me a little bit of saving grace for Donovan Smith. All right. We always seem to talk about sophomore slumps in the NFL. And let's remember that this is Donovan Smith's sophomore year. So are we ready to just cut bait with Donovan Smith? I mean, we have, a second-round draft pick invested in this guy. We have a season and a half invested with this guy. Who's just in his second year. Like, is he just making second-year mistakes? Like, is he just kind of in that thing and he's going to come out of it with more oomph? He's going to get something screwed on straight at some point in the middle of this year or maybe in the offseason, then he's going to come back and he's going to be a 10-year player for us at left tackle and be a beast? Man, I hope that's the case. I don't know. Someone in the chat room says, Smith couldn't block your granddad. Dotson either. Yeah, you're probably right. And here's the thing. My grandfather couldn't even hear the call because he's deaf. Because he's deaf. Rendax says, told you Bucks fans would be calling for his head by the end of the year. Who are you talking about? Donovan Smith? Now, here's the thing, guys. I'm not calling for Donovan Smith's head. I'm not calling for it. But I am saying, "Urgh," and I'm saying, please tell me this is just a sophomore slump and he's going to get better. All right, let's jump over to the other side. DeMar Dotson. I started in my notes writing effing Dotson. Effing Dotson. Effing Dotson setting us back with a false start penalty. Effing Dotson gets another penalty to negate a Jameis first down run. You guys remember that? Jameis gets on a little scramble, goes up there, gets the first down all on his own. Jameis scrambles around, gets all the way up, hits first down, and yeah, it's negated because Dotson, he held somebody. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Now you're going to set us up at 1st and 20? And hey, Doug Martin comes back. How about Doug Martin? Let's talk about him. Doug Martin gets a 10-yard run and puts us back up to the 10-yard line, gets us within 10. Now it's 2nd and 10. Fantastic. Cecil Shorts comes out and redeems himself with a first down after letting a ball completely slip through his hands. Oh my gosh. Cecil Shorts, you redeemed yourself. Back to the offensive line. No, left tackles don't grow on trees. That's absolutely right. They don't grow on trees. Does it seem like DeMar Dotson's regressing, or does it seem like he's in that sophomore slump? I don't know. Call in, tell me what you guys think about it. 843-633-BUCKS, 843-633-2827. And if you're listening to this not live, you can still call that number and leave a voicemail. Maybe we'll talk about it on the main show. All right, let's get off the offensive line. I can't talk about these guys anymore. Wide receivers. Mike Evans, let's talk about him for a second. Mike Evans seemed mostly invisible this game. Did he not? I was looking at my fantasy score, and I think he only got me like 4 points this week, which, crap, Mike. You're used to getting me like 15, and you got me 4. Which, not that your whole day has to be defined by my fantasy points. I know that's stupid to think that, but, good God, man. Were you just that covered up the whole game? Did anybody see that? Was he just that covered up? Did the Bears go in and they solely planned for Mike Evans and they forgot everybody else on the field, so Jameis opened up the rest of the field to everyone else and just let Mike Evans draw all the attention from the defense? If so, good job, Mike Evans. But Mike Evans had a great catch coming out there, and then that was negated by a penalty by effing Dotson. Are you kidding me? Cecil Shorts. Man, he almost led an interception. Did you guys notice there was a couple of times the Bears defense almost got an interception tonight? They didn't, but they almost did. Cecil Shorts had one that just, it went straight through his hands. It wasn't even a drop. It was, he had it in his hands and he just squeezed it and it popped out like a wet bar of soap. Ended that particular drive. And then Cecil Shorts comes up and he gets us back with a first down catch. Like, it was a pretty nice first down catch. Okay, great. Yeah, I think if there's one wide receiver we really want to talk about right now, it's Freddie Martino. Freddie little freaking Martino from North South Carolina. Yes, that's correct. The name of the town is North. The name of the state is South Carolina. It's down the road from me. Yeah, I don't know, about 2 hours. Maybe hour and a half, somewhere around there. Freddie Martino, good for you, man. Good for you. This team is we are short at that position. We talk about, now here's the deal, guys, and you're probably going to hear me say this. I'm placing a moratorium on repeatedly going back to saying, we have to draft this, we have to take care of that, we've got to get this fixed, we got to get that, we got to get this position filled with whatever. Because, guys, look, we got to fill this with a free agent. Guys, listen, let me tell you something. We are at the midweek of the season, all right? Barring some miracle, we're not trading for anybody. We're not getting a new free agent signing. We're not drafting anybody until next April, okay? So I'm not even going to worry about that. What we have is what we have. Now, I might be frustrated at who we have, but I'm not going to sit here and just continue for the next 8, 9 games, however many games we wind up having. Hopefully it's 12. I'm not going to keep going on about those just to sit back and continually say who we should draft or who we should have drafted in this last year or what we need to get. All right. I'm not going to do that. So let's just talk about what we have. And just to say, we don't have that many weapons on the other side, but they seem to be doing their job today. I mean, Freddie Martino, in the chat room, Mahabone, says Martino's touchdown dance was shiznizzle. Shiznizzle. I like that word. I didn't see it. I really didn't see it. But Freddie Martino got a touchdown. Cameron Brate, what did he get? 1 or 2 touchdowns today? Doug Martin ran one in. Awesome for him. Defense came up and scored. Ooh, we're going to talk about defense scoring here in just a minute. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. But listen, guys, we know that we need new safeties on this team. All right? We know that we need another wide receiver in this next draft. We know it. I'm not going to keep getting upset knowing that these are areas of needs when these areas don't perform. My whole point in telling you that is to tell you this. When those areas of needs do perform well, then I'm going to lose my ever-loving mind. I'm going to love every freaking second of it. And one of those positions is wide receiver. And when you got Freddie freaking Martino coming up, who's an undrafted free agent, hasn't really seen the field that much this year, and he gets his first touchdown, and it was a beauty. I mean, gosh, what was that, a 30-yard catch? And then he added on another 10, 15 for the touchdown. Man, that was great. He was so excited. I was excited for him. Loved getting to see that. Okay, now let's go back and talk about something that happened on the other side of the ball. Mr. Chris Conte, the safety of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that everybody loves to pick on, got a pick himself and turned it into a pick six. Miss Christopher Conte against his former team, the Chicago Bears. And this is the same Chris Conte that was here last year when we didn't do so well against the Chicago Bears when, Lovey was still here. Good for you, Chris Conte. Good for you. We still need new safeties. I can't. What was it? I read somewhere, I think it was on Twitter, I think it was Rick Stroud said that after that pick six, Chris Conte went over and headbutted Cutter with his helmet on and gave Cutter a big old cut over his right eye. Are you serious, Chris? Are you serious, Connie? You can't even not screw up a touchdown. Like, oh my gosh, seriously? But hey, good for you. And later on in the game, the defense comes up with a safety, puts 2 more points on the board for us. Now listen, guys, this brings me to a point that I wanted to bring up that I've been saying for a couple of weeks now. And my point is this. When you start seeing the defense score points, then you know we're going to win this game. When you consistently start seeing the defense put the ball in the end zone, grab a pick six, when you see them sacking a dude back there or forcing a fumble, kicking it out of the end zone, whatever, and getting safeties, when the defense starts putting points up on the board, not just the offense, guys, that's when stuff starts clicking. That's when you know you're having a good game. I got so excited for both of those plays. Oh, I couldn't type fast enough to make my note just so that I could give it a woohoo. That was fantastic. And people can say whatever they want about Chris Conte. That play right there in that moment, fantastic. So what about you guys? Now I want to know, do you want to talk about Chris Conte? Call in and let me know what you think of him. 843-633-BUCKS, 843-633-2827. If you're listening to this outside of the live format, you're just listening to this on the podcasting app, that's fine. Call in the number 843-633-BUCKS. Leave me a voicemail. Tell me what you think about Mr. What's his name? About the guy, Mr. Conte. Call in and tell me what you think about him. Oh, man. I'm still talking about the first half. Man, we got to move on. We got to move on. Man, I thought it was great. I thought it was good. Hey, Hargraves, that's what it was. Hargraves came up on defense. Let's talk about him for a minute. Hargraves, he's been a little invisible the last couple of games. We've not seen a ton out of him. I don't want to say invisible. We've certainly seen him. We've seen him letting other guys catch on him. I think I saw tonight the stat is that they threw to his side of the field, to Hargraves' side of the field 5 times, and he only allowed 1 catch. It's not bad. Not bad. But Hargraves also came up with a big interception in the end zone. Did you guys notice that? He caught the ball. He had the ball in his hand, and then Alshon Jeffrey reached around and smacked it out of his hands before he could, be down and actually have grabbed the ball and have it come up and count as an interception. But he got it. He got it, man. I thought that was great. And that comes on the backside of the defense. Wasn't able to do much to hold the Bears back at a good field position because at that point right there, that's the drive where everything went through Cecil Shorts' hands. So Hargraves almost had an interception there. And it was also, I believe it was in that play that Kyle Long got hurt. And you know what? So I'm watching this deal. I'm watching this situation unfold with Kyle Long. And I saw Gerald McCoy and Robert Ayers both go over and give him not just a high five, but the little hand mix thing, shoulder bump, much respect, just to show how much those two guys had respect for that guy. Even though he was on another team, you never want to see somebody get seriously injured. I don't want to say never. You usually don't want to see somebody get seriously injured on the other team, and to see our players showing respect to a really good player. You might even say a great player across the line from him. Man, my respect level for McCoy and Ayers just kind of shot up a little bit there. So that was something. Hey, let's talk about Noah Spence. Noah Spence. Okay, now, first of all, let me say this. The announcers, I believe, called him Akeem Spence, and it was not Akeem Spence. It was Noah Spence. So for the upteenth time, Tampa Bay Buccaneer jersey maker people, can you please start putting first initials on the back of these jerseys? Please help us out just a little bit. How many people on this team do we have named Spence? Okay, for that matter, how many people on this team do we have freaking named Smith? Oh my word. Let's put an initial on the back of the thing. Anyway, Noah Spence goes out, gets a huge sack fumble, and the Bucs get it back. It was awesome. Awesome. Defense really kicking it in. And these are the little things like this is what I keep saying, they were not doing great, and then you'd have this interception. Not doing great, and then you have a pick six. Not doing great, and then a sack fumble. It wasn't swarming, but we came up with big plays. We kept having big plays, and that's what I loved seeing on the defense. And the offense took advantage. The offense went out and controlled the clock. That's I guess the whole thought. And I had thoughts at halftime where I said, neither side of the ball is being spectacular, but they're getting it done. It's ugly, but they put together a decent first half. Now, holy crap, that last play where Chicago got the touchdown right at the end of the first half. That's not a good way to end the half. Please don't feed the trolls this week, all right? And that set up something that I want to talk about just for a minute. And it's Tampa Bay's third quarter woes. All right. Now, we dissected this a little bit in the main show last week, that Tampa Bay can go out and play a decent 3 quarters, maybe not a great 3 quarters, but they can play a decent 3 quarters in the first, the second, and the fourth. But it's in the third quarter we've seen a few times this year that's where everything gets away from us. So I was worried. That was the time I was most worried, was the third quarter. We come out in the first quarter, we go down, we go up, fine, whatever. Second quarter, getting into the half, that's certainly a lot more important to me. Certainly the fourth quarter, it's how we end the game, so you could argue it's the most important. But it was that third quarter that kind of had me a little, how are we going to come out from the locker room? Because we've seen the Bucs go into the locker room having momentum and then come out flat. Just flat. So I was wondering. We had the ball coming out. Third quarter is our Achilles heel. Did we go 3 and out? No. This is where we had that huge play where Jameis spent 10 minutes scrambling in the backfield and then threw his own Hail Mary pass over to Mike Evans, not only to keep himself from getting sacked in the end zone, but to also get a full first down, and to get it all the way down from like our end zone to the 40-yard line on the other side of the half field mark. And there was Mike Evans sitting there waiting to catch that ball. And it was glorious. Glorious. And then right after that, we had that 40-yard pass to who? Freddie Martino. That's fun. That was a good way to start the quarter. Good way to start the quarter. And then defense comes back out, and there was just is there going to be any momentum? Gerald McCoy got hurt, and then the very next play or two plays later, it's like, oh crap, time for Gerald McCoy's sack. Now I need to get an updated number on his sack count. And it was at that point that I kind of said, hey, our pass rush is doing pretty good. I thought things really in that moment, coming off of the way that the offense opened up their drive, and then Gerald McCoy coming out getting that sack, that really turned something on. It turned something around in the third quarter where we said, this is not going to be our Achilles heel. Luke Stalker winds up running this, what they call this submarine route, where basically he starts on the right side of the line, pulls behind them, and goes out to the left side of the line, turn around to catch the ball. It was the exact same play that, what's the other guy's name? Miller, Zach Miller. He tried that on the other side, and we caught him in it, and they didn't do anything with it. We did the exact same play. Luke Stalker gets it, and it's like, ha! And Cameron Brate, Mike James, got into the deal there. And then Jameis loses a 15 yards on a sack. Oh, my word, Jameis. I don't know how you did that. But we had a field goal coming out of there, so gave us a little bit more of a cushion. Thank you, Roberto Aguayo, for not missing. Hashtag I'm with 19. And then things turned up. Josh Robinson, let's talk about him for just a moment. Josh Robinson on the punt team. We go out there. It looked like Jamison might have tweaked his knee a little bit. Doug Martin didn't have any big plays, but it was big having him back on the field. Like there was just a different energy with him there. But we got to a point where we hit fourth down. We brought out the punter, and Brian Anger punted it away. Josh Robinson on the punt team tackles the returner. Returner catches the ball and tries to do something with it. He doesn't just take a knee. Tackles the returner at the 2-yard line. Oh my gosh, that was great. When I talk about giving grades, and this might be a little bit of a spoiler for this week coming up, the special teams team to me usually gets around a B, because a B to me says you did your job. An A says you did something extra splashy. It says you did something fantastic. C, D, that's you just didn't really do what we wanted you to do. B is you did your job. With Roberto Aguayo making all of his kicks, exactly what we needed him to do. With this play by Josh Robertson, this to me is a flashy play. This is special teams doing what they need to do to pin the ball inside the 2-yard line. Holy cow. You talk about giving our defense great field position, putting our defense in a position to score again. That's what he did there, was he set the defense up to go out and put more points on the board. And when the defense, I've said it before, I'll say it again, when the defense starts scoring points, look out, because the Bucs are coming. And what happened? We put a lot of pressure on Cutler. We had great coverage on their receivers. Said, come on, defense. And you know what happened? We got 2 points on a safety. Robert Ayers, Clint McDonald, all in the mix with it. Guys, you put those guys on the front line, mixed with Gerald McCoy and Will Golston, Noah Spence out there every once in a while. This is what having a healthy front seven looks like. This is what we have to look forward to. And you know what? For the first time, Bucs fans, those of you that were there for the game, I heard you. I heard you from all the way up here in South Carolina. I heard you, and you're making a difference. See, fans, this is why the team needs us in the stands. Now, I understand people can sit there and go, well, I'm not going to go until they start putting a better product on the field. I'm not going to spend my money to go until they start doing something that we need them to do. Do you guys not understand that they need us? Do you not understand that it makes a difference when we're there? that teams feed off the energy of people in the crowd. It's a real palpable thing, Bucks fans. As we get there. In the chat room, they're saying Aguayo was on fire today. If fire means you make every single kick that you're sent out to make, then yes, Roberto Aguayo was blazing. Holy hell, center of the sun kind of flames. You could just say he did his job. But yeah, Aguayo drained every single one of them. Got them all. I think Connor Barth did too. I don't think he missed one either. But, and here's the thing about Roberto Aguayo. You guys can all agree. Listen, you guys know I am one of the biggest, and literally speaking size-wise, I might be the biggest Roberto Aguayo apologist. I don't know that I can call myself a fan just yet, but I am an apologist for old boy Aguayo. Every time he goes on the field, I hold my breath. Absolutely hold my breath. And there was a point I was in the middle. I think I was in the middle of a kind of a celebration after one of these touchdowns, and I was playing with my kid. And as soon as Roberto Aguayo, after he makes the kick. Guys, how you feeling about Roberto Aguayo? I want to know. You guys can call me in if you want to. Call into the show, 843-633-BUCKS. That's 843-633-2827. Or call in and leave a voicemail if you're listening to this past time for the live show, which we're going to be wrapping up here in just a few moments here for the live show. But Roberto Aguayo, defense, special teams put the defense in position to make a play, to get points on the board, and the defense came up with it. And then we turned around and got the ball back again. Oh, my gosh. That's great. All right, I want to talk about Doug Martin just for a moment. They kind of pulled Doug Martin out towards the end of the game, and I understand that. Yeah, I think you guys all get it. They pulled Doug Martin out. Doug Martin is coming back from this hamstring injury. This is the team. There's something different when he's on the field. Do you guys agree? There's something different. It was so good to have him back, but at the same time, we didn't want to push him too hard, and we found ourselves in a position where, I hate to say it, but we didn't need him in that moment, so they pulled him out of the game, and and I agreed with that call. I thought it was a really great call. The announcers on the TV kind of talked about it for a minute, and it got me thinking about it. I thought they had a really good point. It's the fourth quarter. We're up 19 points. Doug Martin has not had a full week of practice in 8 weeks. So they pull him, and they put in Peyton Barber. Peyton Barber, who, by the way, is an undrafted free agent, and not that it's the preseason anymore, but one of the things that will help Peyton Barber the best to become great and to become good is to give him in-game reps. And so we were able to give him in-game reps to help him develop that much more while eating time off the clock. And hey, if we didn't make a touchdown in that particular drive, we had some cushion. If something bad happened, we had a little bit of cushion that we could play with. So I agreed with that. But then the offense kind of gets down towards the goal line, right? And all of a sudden, what'd you see? 22 was back out on the field, right? I mean, we were within what, 2-3 yards of the goal line for however it is we got down there. And they put Doug Martin in, and they fed the ball to him, 2-3 times in a row until he finally was able to punch it in. And it was just like a big welcome back, Doug Martin. Welcome back to the game, Doug Martin. Here's your first TD. I hope he kept that ball. I hope that ball has a pretty good significance to Doug Martin. I hope he kept it. And you know who I hope signs it for him? Is his lead blocker, none other than Mr. Gerald freaking McCoy, number 93, jumping over to the offensive side as a fullback, plumbing out of the fullback position to be the lead blocker for Doug Martin as he gets his welcome back touchdown. That was fantastic. And here we are in garbage time, full on garbage time. And this is the note that I put in my my notes here, and I want to know what you guys think about this. Stomp on their throats. Dominate them. Put the ball in the end zone one more time. Don't let them score in garbage time. Stomp on their throats. And the defense came out and they did just that. Forced them into a 3-and-out. Good job. Good job. Glennon came in. They finally pulled Jameis Winston. Glennon comes in. Now, for all of you guys, and I'm going to take issue. Some of you guys have been guests on my show before. Some of you guys I have a ton of respect for. But for those of you who were pulling for Coach Cutter to pull Jameis out of those games when we were down so far so that we wouldn't hurt our quarterback, so that we wouldn't get him hurt, because we can't risk him getting hurt when the game is already a loss. Because you know what happened? Somebody on TV said that. That's what happened. Somebody on TV said, well, I don't really understand why he's keeping Jameis in there. That's your franchise quarterback. And everybody picked up on it. And, I did too, because I started thinking that same thought. Well, why are we leaving him in there? Maybe we should take him out. I kind of had this Jim Gaffigan running dialogue. Oh, why are we in there? Hot pockets. Oh, we better take Jameis out. Hot pockets. Don't want to see him get hurt. Hot pockets. You don't take your quarterback out when you're losing the game. Yes, you go down with the ship. Yes, you go out there and you try to make something happen. Do you know when you take your quarterback out is when you're on the other side? When you're the one who's up 25 points and there's only 2 minutes left in the game. That's when you take your starting quarterback out and you put in your backup guy to let him get some reps. That's when you put him in so that you don't risk hurting your franchise quarterback at that point. Because you know what? You look across the ball. Guess who was still playing quarterback to the very end of this game? That's right. It was Jay Cutler. It was nobody else. Because that's how it works in this league, people. Okay? So, guys, we have to stop listening to these guys that are on TV and letting them dictate our... the same thing happened, this whole deal about Cutter calling things too conservative. That's what somebody on TV said. Was, wow, he's just calling things really conservative. And all of a sudden, everybody keeps talking about how conservative Dirk Cutter is calling plays. That's the word they're using. I've never heard people talk about being conservative as a play caller as much as I had after that guy on TV said it. Hadn't heard it at all. But we all talked, he's just being conservative. And 2 or 3 games later, we were starting, he's being conservative, taking the ball out of Jameis Winston's hands, showing he doesn't trust him. Oh my gosh, guys. We got to stop listening to those guys. Hey, P.S., it was great to see Alteron Werner back in. He had a big old smile on his face, came up with a big stop, big tackle. That was great. All right, so final thoughts on the InstantCast, guys. Final thoughts. Let's boil it all down, okay? The beginning of the game just didn't feel like we were dominating, and I don't think we were. We got some turnovers. We didn't do things that were that much flashy, but instead what we did was we grounded out. We were steady, and we ground out the game. And it got bigger, and it got better, and it got better the further the game went on. You win the turnover battle, you win the penalty battle, you win the time of possession, you win. Is that right? Okay, the Raiders game was a little bit of an anomaly, but generally you win, right? Okay, so I want to know, what do you guys have to say about Mike Smith's defense this week? All you Mike Smith haters, you ready to get rid of Mike Smith after this week? I'm not. Hey, listen, final call for anyone who wants to call in the chat room. There's still a couple of you in there. 843-633-BUCKS. It's 843-633-2827. Won't hurt my feelings. This show's just about over. If you're listening to this on the podcast later, you can call in still yourself. Leave a voicemail, 843-633-2827. What do you guys have to say about Mike Smith? Guys, let me tell you something. When our front seven on defense is back and they're fully healthy, it's the shot in the arm that we needed. It changed everything. The pass rush, I can't wait, guys. I'm salivating right now. Like, I might go, everybody else in my house is asleep right now. I might go back and just start watching film right now because I can't wait to be able to sit back and pay more attention to what's going on with that defensive line. And instead of watching the ball and trying to watch the game as a whole, to just start watching individual people. I can't wait to go back and watch the offensive line and just see how bad I think they might have been. I want to go back and watch this new guy, Russell, this new defensive end that we got, Russell. He's one specifically I want to go back out and do it. So, yeah. So, guys, here we are. That's one game. That's one game in the third quarter. We're 1-0 on the third quarter, and here's what we're looking for, guys. We're looking for at least 3-1. That's what we're looking for in this quarter. 3-1. Be pissed if they don't go 3-1. This is going to be a tough quarter. Because we got coming up, who we got? We got Seahawks. We got the Chiefs. We got somebody else. I don't remember who. It's going to be tough. But this is a good way to start it. Hey, by the way, last year, there were 3 teams that were 3-5 at the season midpoint that made the playoffs. Do you know that? So what about it? All right, guys, send me an email, thepewtercast@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter, @thepewtercast, or over on Facebook at facebook.com/thepewtercast. Be on the lookout for our main show coming out later this week. I want to thank everybody who was with me in the chat room. I really appreciate having you guys here. So, guys, until the main show comes out, go Bucks.